Well, but that's the key thing in the genre, though, is that the plot has to be consistent up to the last 30 seconds, 1 minute to 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, just
Like you can't just be throwing shit at a wall for 2 hours.
right. I sort of like the idea too that if we did a series of these, if we were like billionaire producers, every one of them ends with a horrified face, and then the credits roll.
Oh no, I can even think of a way to spoof ourselves. We make a horror movie where the killer and the main the victim that you're supposed to be identifying with, they fall in love, and then you see a horrified observer.
uh,
That would be good too.
or at the end, the killer does decide after all to go through with the killing.
That's true.
That'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
I like that as well. Those are all good options.
Or the opposite, start out with a decent person, turns into a horror villain in the middle, and then goes back to a decent person at the end for some reason. And then you could really
Then you could kill them.
Then you could really pull the carpet out.
Right.
Yeah.
Once they've redeemed themselves, death.
Well, I think we've beaten that down.
Yeah. We could talk about the cost benefit stuff we were talking about before the show.
Sure, sounds good. Something that it's another one of those things that's regularly on our minds anyway. So fun to talk about. I guess I'll get the ball rolling here. I notice a lot in life. People make bad decisions, again, by imposing a blanket rule. Sort of a theme through the whole series and through this episode. My opposition to blanket rules. Now, some people will err on the side of caution, and some people will err on the side of risk. And similarly, some people will err on the side of frugality, and some people will err on the side of expensiveness. Those are all blanket rules, and they're all inappropriate. For example, I like to drink generic Diet Cola. I enjoy the flavor of it. I think it tastes good. Everybody that comes here think it tastes good. But once in a while, I'll encounter like a cola snob, a brand or label snob.
Yeah.
And they won't even try it because they just assume that it won't be good. And they're the type of person that has to buy like the actual brand name stuff. Now, on the other hand, you have people that always buy cheap stuff, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because they think branding is never important and price is never relevant.
Yeah.
So, for example, my sister bought a shower curtain. It was about $6. There were two choices, a $6 one and a $12 one. She buys the $6 one because, like me, my sister is, she's trying to be smart about it by being frugal. But it was a piece of shit, and the $12 one was the good one. And she ended up buying the $12 one anyway, so she actually spent more money than she would have if she just started with the $12 one.
Right.
Thinking she was saving a couple bucks. So that's a case where the cheap one was the piece of shit and the expensive one was the good one. This is something that you see through life a lot, and this is what I want to talk about, is this sort of knowing when to buy the cheap thing and knowing when to buy the expensive thing. How to identify that? This is all about running a cost-benefit analysis. Another one of those technical sciencey terms that we throw around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The moral of the story is don't make blanket assumptions about things. Whether it's because you think that we just love the fuck out of rape, or because you assume that the most expensive wines are more delicious than some other option. There was a study that tested this wine thing. They gave people they basically put the same wine in two different bottles, and people taste tested it and said that the more expensive bottle label one was the better tasting one.
Okay.
And what they didn't know, of course, was that it was the same wine in both bottles. So that shows you the bias that people can have with sort of looking at appearances over actual quality,
right,
or actual merits.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I guess what we both are just trying to say is watch out for that. Watch out for marketing. Watch out for cheap shit, and also watch out for marketing. I guess that's the lesson.
Oh yeah, I mean, because marketing, especially on that side of it, can be insidious. It definitely to me fits in like when we want to talk about the con game. It's not a con game in the same way like divining rods to find drugs are a con game, but it's moving in that direction because the whole point of most advertising, and you can see this when you look at stuff historically, like if you look at ads from 100 years ago, they were trying to approach you rationally, like our product is superior because it has this and this, whereas nowadays I don't think many ads get made that aren't trying to short circuit that route, that aren't trying to say if you buy this DVD player, you're more likely to get blowjobs on an average day. And it's like, and instead of people going, well, that doesn't even, that's the most spurious relationship I've ever heard of. They go, oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
You want to get a new DVD player? So
associations, instead of selling your product based on its merits.
Yeah.
The trick lately is to associate the image of your product with the image of some other pleasant thing that's completely unrelated. And that's a shitty tactic in the bag of dirty tricks.
Or people living a certain lifestyle. That if you have this, you're, the cool urbanite, or you've got the comfortable home or whatever.
Yeah, that's an example. There are many examples. Girls in bikinis. There was an old SNL ad for a gay beer brand called
Really?
Schmitz. Yeah, it's called Schmitz Gay. And in that case, they had a bunch of dudes in like banana hammocks.
Okay.
And Adam Sandler and Chris Farley were like house sitting, and like they'd crack open a couple cold bottles of Schmitz Gay, and suddenly like all these like built gay guys show up.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah. If you like beer and you're gay, try Schmitz Gay.
Nice.
So, that was an association. It was a play on what marketers do, which is making an association between beer, which is just beer, and people like sexy people.
Yeah.
It's saying like you're going to be sexy or get to like be around sexy people if you drink our beer, rather than an ad like our beer is really delicious or something like that.
We use better ingredients than our competitors.
Yes.
Corona has done a masterful job with their marketing, I think.
The beach scenes.
Yeah, they don't, no. I don't even know if they ever have any words in their ads, or direct faces. It's just beach scene, pop open a Corona.
Yep, and then there's usually like some word at the bottom, like some inspirational phrase.
Yeah.
Like
dick shitter.
live happy or some bullshit like that. It's just all it says, and there's like the sound of the surf. Or there's the Dos Equis guy.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
Right, yeah.
The most interesting man in the world.
Right. I do appreciate the spoof on that of Mitt Romney, the least interesting man in the world.
Oh, I'm not aware of that. That's funny, though.
Yeah. When you ask him to bring hot sauce to your party, Mitt Romney shows up with mayonnaise.
That's awesome. So, watch out for associations like the sexiness association or the coolness or the adventurous or whatever it may be. On the other hand, that's the thing. I guess part of it is just having life experience and buying certain amounts of crappy products and finding out they're crappy.
Mm-hmm.
And then buying a certain amount of branded products and finding out that it's just hype. Sometimes, that's the thing. You got to know when it's appropriate to spend the extra money.
Right.
And one of the little tactics I know that marketers do is a lot of stores will have an array, like a line of products. Like, let's say it's lawnmowers. They'll have the basic model and then like some middle models, and then a lot of times they'll have this really, really, really extra expensive one, like so expensive it's ridiculous. And if you examine it, there's not really anything to it other than the the other middle models have, or the other lower high end models have. But they know that some rich jackass shows up every once in a while and just automatically buys the most expensive whatever.
Right. I've seen that with grills too. I feel like when in the realm of of outdoor, outside your house sort of products.
Well, it's a lot of places, but yeah, grills definitely. Cost benefit analysis wasn't run, but on the other hand, if you have like $1 billion and you want a grill, like you don't really want to spend your time looking at grills, so you and I guess you don't care that you spent like hundreds of extra dollars on a grill that isn't really any better than the other ones, and the store makes more money. I don't know. I mean,
well, yeah, if you have billions of dollars, you're talking about an error rate that's comparatively so small.
Yeah.
You know, it's the difference between investing when you're getting into the billions of dollars. It's the difference between investing in like MySpace or Google. Like, yeah, it's kind of like that, I guess.
Yeah,
where many more dollars could be on the line.
Yeah, so you don't have time to worry about losing, a few $100s here, a few $100s there, or thousands even. But you got to watch out if you're not a billionaire. If you're doing well, but you still have to watch like what you spend. Like, don't get sucked into that trap, because a lot of stores and marketers it's an artificially inflated product.
Yeah.
So watch out for that.
Don't buy generic lube. I've never seen generic condoms. Speaking of that universe, I don't think I've ever seen one. I've only seen brands I've heard of.
Like Food Club condoms.
Yeah, exactly. Equate brand condoms.
Sunny Square. Oh, man. Well,
Tube of Fun condoms.
I guess I see the reason for that.
I wonder if there's other markets though that are like that you just can't have generics because people are like, whoa, fuck that. Like,
let me think.
I don't know. I'm going immediately to the health product area of the store because there's generic drugs. There's all kinds of stuff.
Well,
I've definitely learned to get generic drugs. Jesus.
Condoms that those products that are just in white packages with black letters on them. It's right. It's like the
product
real.
X.
It's the real generic. Like when I was a kid, we used to get chicken soup like this. Like there was a lot of products like this. There was the name brand one, but then there was this cheaper one that was the exact same thing, but it was just in a white package and it just said chicken soup on it.
Okay.
And it was like, I don't know what program it was that initiated these things, but whether it was a government thing or what, but
just to throw this in there, the funniest thing about that, and this shows you what kind of society I've at least grown up in and experienced, is for whatever reason, even though there's not much difference when you think about the can that just has a white label with black letters saying chicken soup, I'm immediately skeptical as to whether or not it actually has chicken soup in it. That's like my visceral reaction as I go, bullshit, there's no chicken soup in there. You don't look like a chicken soup can. You're just a can of water. But anyway.
I'd love to see condoms like that. It's just a white package.
Condoms?
Just condoms. Like, not even well-placed lettering. It's like that ugly stenciling that's got like your flaws in it and shit.
Or it got fancy, it said prophylactics.
Yeah.
And they did it. It's so low budget that they just print it on the box and then they wrap it around. So when you see it on the hook, you only see the middle of the word because the beginning and the end of the word are wrapped around the sides. That would be awesome.
Phylacts.
Yeah. I would appreciate that.
I think maybe in the condom world, there aren't like true store brands, but like Trojan has a giant advertising campaign with Trojan Man.
True.
And the other ones, I guess like Lifestyles and others don't really. I don't think they have any sort of marketing campaign like that. They might be
something's going on because every store I go into, the fucking condom and lube section seems to grow every year. I don't know what the trend behind that is.
Well, that's just another aspect of marketing, I guess. I'm sure you're aware of this, where they just keep tinkering with things all the time.
Yeah.
Like, coming out with new and improved, like, all the fucking time, to the point where I'm annoyed. And they don't even have the shit I want anymore.
Right.
They just discontinue that shit, and they come out with some fucked up version. And it's got like flower scent in it now and whatever. And I just wanted the normal one I've always liked and used. And I don't know why they have to keep jerking us around. I guess it makes them money somehow. But
yeah,
especially if you discontinue. I mean, this is the thing about, again, I don't understand the population because I don't believe, like,
I think that's kind of the impetus of one part of the impetus of behind why we do the show.
I don't, for example, believe that I'm susceptible to commercials.
Okay.
But apparently they work on somebody.
Right.
Unless it's like the biggest joke of all time, like all these people are making ad revenue and the marketing companies think it works, but it really doesn't.
I guarantee they wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, like drug advertising. Like I always go to that place. And that's also why they do like drug reps, you know what I mean? Because they've done studies and doctors that get drug reps for certain name brand drugs prescribe them more often.
So, assuming that marketing works, like who are the people this is working?
Right? Yeah.
Like,
because I've never met, well, to my knowledge, at least I've never gotten to know someone who I went, You're obviously susceptible to marketing. I've never had that thought about one of my friends. Like marketing works on you, doesn't it? Because it's kind of like a nicer way of saying, like, you've been tricked into bed before. You know what I mean? Like, or something like that.
Yeah. I guess the place I go to with who marketing would work on would be like hoarders.
Well, that's shooting fish in a barrel, dude. All you gotta do is say is available to buy. And they're like, I need a stack of that shit.
I gotta go get me some of those. Might come in handy for something someday.
Those are probably also the people upon whom the marketing work, the changing packaging works, rather.
Yeah.
Is, you know,
it's flashy, and that's another thing, flashy colors and changing patterns and this fake new and improved bullshit. And I guess apparently those are all tactics that get used.
Yeah.
You know, I guess they would fall in the bag of dirty tricks to some extent. I hate the whole thing.
I sent you that Onion article poking fun at Apple, didn't I? The one about where he said the new iPhone would have nigger printed on the back.
Oh yeah.
Just to spite people, and they like the idea that Tim Cook in the presentation goes, "We know you people will buy it anyways."
Yes. Yeah. That's speaking of Apple. They have their own tactic of making you feel like you're part of like an in group.
Oh yeah.
And that's another way to get you to like have brand loyalty and buy shit in the first place. It's making you feel like a special snowflake, which I don't know. I mean, we all like to feel special and like we're exceptional and that we're in somewhere, but I don't know. To do it with a product brand, I don't get it. I don't know.
I don't get it either. I never felt like I was part of a special club because I bought something.
like I can't even think like I really like this brand of underpants I'm wearing. Like it's all I refuse to even go to the stores that have the other kind. Like where the fuck else does this happen? You know,
Calvin Klein.
Like when I use anal suppositories, I only use Johnson's. You know, like, no, like I don't. And you'll see commercials like that, but
Wilford Brimley.
You don't actually.
And his diabetes.
You don't get the Apple Store phenomenon with anal suppositories or whatever. Like,
you could. Just takes the right man for the job. Or woman. Takes the right human for the job. I bet. Well, yeah. That's yeah. I would agree with that though. Really, you need a special product to do that. You couldn't just all of a sudden create a special class of human being, or who thought of themselves that way with a toothpaste brand.
Yeah.
Maybe a toilet paper brand.
This reminds me of the movie Crazy People with Dudley Moore. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's about marketing.
No, I don't think so, actually.
So basically, I think Dudley Moore plays like a marketing guy, and he flips his wig and like gets committed to an asylum for a bit, and he befriends the people in there.
Okay.
And they're at various levels of ability, and he I guess he gets over his level of burnout that he experienced, and he starts recruiting all the people in there, all the crazy people, to write an honest marketing campaign for stuff. Like, he sort of turns over a new leaf, and like it actually takes off, and it shows like examples of shit out in the world. Like he sells some of his marketing ideas, and like it shows like a pharmacy, and there's like a pad on the wall that it's like a form you can take with you, and it says on it it's for like laxatives, and normally it would say like, you know, like ease your day, or, you know, some stupid marketing thing. Right. This just said, yes, I want to start going to the bathroom. And it showed tons of people just tearing them off and taking them with them. Nice. And then they did a Volvo ad, and it said, Volvo, boxy but safe. So I guess the point of the movie was to sort of make a play on all the bullshit that marketing tries to push on us every day. Yeah. And how it could be different. Or maybe it couldn't be different. I don't know. I mean, maybe the world's just filled with dummies, and this is what they have to have. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. It's disappointing, but...
That it is.
So...
Too many people on the planet.
One thing that you were mentioning earlier, too, was pants. Like, this is a case of actual measurable differences in the products, and it's not just hype. You know, this is going back to, yes, in some cases, you know, it's good to spend the more money. Yeah. You know,
I mean, yeah, I've just had that experience with all kinds. I guess I feel funny now talking about I've had some wonderful experiences with my pants. But I have noticed that, yeah, there are some cases where, you know, I didn't spend any money on jeans or dress slacks, and they were shit, and they came apart, or they just wore out or lost their color. And next time I bought a nicer pair. It didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Lasted longer. Whatever, kept the color, just felt nicer, etc. You know, yeah, and like, I learned my lesson to some extent.
Part of running the cost-benefit analysis is, in the case of pants, like, you know, tough pants versus pants that will tear apart, you could, in theory, do like a $1 per unit of time or fabric weight, you know, assessment. Sort of like when you do a power to weight ratio assessment in like engine performance. You know, you can see exactly what's going on, or power to fuel economy, or however you want to look at it. I mean, you can do this all over the place. And I think the common theme that we're touching on here through this entire show is that you shouldn't make assumptions about things, and you shouldn't make associations and see meaning in things where there's no meaning. Marketing is just hype, and most of the time. Yeah. Unless it's actually saying our product is better, and it's true that the product is better. Other than that, I would say marketing is pretty much just hype.
What's interesting is, like, some of the brands that I probably like the most are brands that are not even products, but products that's what I should say. Not products that I like the most, but some of the products that tend to be the best are the ones you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to really think of a great example, but nothing's coming to me right off the top of my head. But it's just funny when I've been looking into a certain product that I want to get, and somebody says, oh, why don't you get one of these? And I go, I've never heard of that brand. And then you find out, oh, it's the one that everyone who knows what the fuck they're doing uses.
It's sort of like Old Man Winkler's anal itch cream.
Exactly.
You ever heard of it?
Nope.
It's awesome.
Exactly. Foolproof.
But the idea here is, again, it's a mislabeling of things. It's saying there's a bunch of girls in bikinis holding this beer, so this beer must have a great, you know, I'm going to label this in my mind as good. Right. You know, and it's sort of like what I was saying about mislabeling an assessment of risk factors as something else.
I wonder, I'm sure they must, but I wonder if marketers account for the revulsion effect, like the fact that if I see a douchebag advertising a product, I'm going to actually not want to buy it.
Well,
they have to account for that.
I've heard that a lot of generic products come out of the same factory as the branded products, so it's win-win.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Like, I always eat the generic version of Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
And I think it all just comes out of the same chute.
Well, I actually think that happens with, like, generic drugs, is that some of the companies that make the brand name also own the factories or the companies that make the generics. And they have the exact same efficacy. They're required to by law.
Mm. So, yeah, and that's how they market to you and me. This shitty generic label we're both looking at on this, this drink right now. This is what appeals to us.
Right.
We're thinking, we're like, oh, I'm not gonna reward them. But we totally are.
Well, yeah, that's true. We're buying the product in the first place. But I would say, but that's the thing. I don't do this with everything. You know, there are some things where I do buy the brand.
Yeah. But it's because there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Like I've learned my lesson. You can buy generic mustard, but you cannot buy generic ketchup.
Generic ketchup? You can buy generic ketchup.
Well, you can. I think it sucks.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant literally.
No, I didn't mean like, is it possible in the realm of choice?
Yeah, generic mustard is fine. That is weird how that... I don't know why.
I don't know either, but every time I've ever had name brand mustard, I'm like, this is the same.
Yeah.
And every time I've had generic ketchup, I'm like, this is a lot worse. A lot worse than name brand ketchup.
That's weird how that works. One of the many mysteries we'll have to at some point investigate here at Bad Guy Labs.
I want to say penetrate.
How dare you, sir?
I know.
So I guess that wraps it up. We'll have to continue on at some other day.
Yeah, I will. I apologize if we seem particularly vexed. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I don't feel too bad because a lot of shows do this same thing, and if they do it, it must be good. So
yeah, I don't mind.
That's the logic I'm going to use.
Yeah, I mean, the point is to connect with the people that are listening, and if we damage that connection in the previous episode, we've tried to ameliorate it, and if we haven't brought you along, oh well.
Assuming they're even going to be listening to this one after the last
exactly.
one. Whatever. Like, we just can't fucking win. I don't know.
Yeah, at some point you just can't worry about it.
So, until next time, we hope you've had fun with us. Remember, don't worry about shit so much. Feel good about yourself if you're not hurting anybody else, and chill the fuck out, even if other people don't want to.
Agreed. And tell a friend about the show, and spread the word. We rely heavily on you to keep this facility afloat. Our music is provided by The Griefs. You can find links to them on our Facebook page, which is Bad Guy Labs. You can follow us on Twitter, @BadGuyLabs. And you can email us at BadGuyLabsChannel@gmail.com. And of course, if you like the show, please subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. And until next time, I'm Cole Koenig on behalf of Jason Emerson saying swallow a bag of dicks and don't be afraid to be a bad guy.